And we are live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone, from wherever you are, from wherever we are, we're coming to you. And thank you for joining us for another helping of Audacity for Breakfast, the table where we bring conversations for people bold enough to inspire change. I'm working on the tagline. Pretty soon I'm going to have it down, but we're in the neighborhood, we're in the ballpark. As always, I'm one of your conveners, Dr. Senenge. And again, as always, we are joined by my lovely cousin, Christine, the money mechanic. Say hi to the people.
Hi everyone, this is Christine, the money mechanic, and welcome to episode 6 of Audacity for Breakfast, where we have conversations for people bold enough to build change. I'm excited because the momentum is building, and last week we had a very incredible guest, our second guest on the show, and today we are building brick by brick with another incredible guest. And right now, I'll ask Senator to do the honors of introducing our
Thank you,
guest.
because I'm sitting in my seat. I'm very excited. I can barely contain myself, seriously. No, because honestly, people, today we have a treat. This is, okay, no cap. People, this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite artists, for so many reasons. But maybe the most fundamental for me is we identify in a lot of ways that we don't know until like it showed up and then we realized and we saw that in each other. He, for me, is a superhero. We share an origin story. Our fathers came to the United States together. The first time I went to Nigeria was for his parents' wedding. I was born into the home that was also his home that he was born into and he lived in. When I got my first office, the very first thing I did was, and I told him this, was I was gonna get art and put it on, oh man, my camera. I was gonna get art and put it on the walls in my office. And so the very first art that I got were his original pieces that I put up in the office, in my office. I'm wearing him right now. I wear as much of him as everywhere as I can. This is hands down my favorite artist. And it gives me more pleasure than anything because I can call him family too. And everywhere I go and every time I display his art, I'm so proud to say, this is my cousin. And he's the one who creates this incredible art that you are blessed. Man, let me even show you. When I got second office, I went out, he did a whole series. I wish I could zoom in. You can't see it very well. But I went out and I bought every single color series in that and I decorated the whole. I brought it to my home office right now because they're reconstructing and nobody's going to mess with my art. But people, please, if you don't know, please meet. It is my pleasure to introduce Erihii Nyamor. I can draw. Say hi.
Hey, appreciate that's a hell of an introduction.
One of the things that we talk about in this space is, as we branded it Audacity for Breakfast, is
Right.
people who have the audacity to create a different path or to go a different way. And you're an
Mm-hmm.
artist, a child of African immigrant parents in the United States, and you studied art.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Make that make sense for
that I like. But I learned how to use graphic software pretty soon, and then I had that crossroad of like, what am I gonna do? And then I read this book by Robert Greene, Mastery and Figuring Out Your Purpose. And what did you do as a kid? And what did I do as a kid? I drew. So I knew like that was my purpose and that was my journey in life. So I just had to
hmm,
find a way to monetize and make this work.
hmm, hmm. Christine.
Amazing. Yes. So I first of all, I it's good to know that we share the same descent. So nice to meet you again. And I was curious, right? Because I looked through your work, some of your pieces,
Yes.
and I was pretty inspired at how unique your style is. And I really wanted to know, right, what do you think inspired your style? Of
Okay.
course, you've talked about how growing up, that was a source of entertainment for you and your peers. But
Right.
I'm a creative of some sort. Though what I do is more photography related, writing related,
Mm-hmm.
singing related. But we're all creatives, right? And there's always a story behind, our style. And last
Mm-hmm.
week we had a guest who sings in Egon language, and he moved from R&B to singing in Egon language, and he had a very unique, story as to why he chose to sing in a gun language, to make music in a gun language. So I'd like to know what inspired your style.
hmm No, great question. So first off, like the comic books that I read, cartoon characters and anime. I'm one of those nerds that indulge in all that. So it started out with me just drawing those characters and wanting to go in that lane. My first comic book convention I did was back in 2013, and I just started out like creating my own character and characters that weren't so popular, and I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. So why I'm there, like I'm next to people that work with Marvel for 10 years, 20 years longer than I've been alive. So like the scale of where I was at and where the other artists was immense. So in order for me to stick out, I had to find like a niche, something that would set me apart from these other artists as I'm trying to work on my skill set. So that's why I started doing like the mashups and crossovers of characters I grew up watching and putting them in fun situations. Even though I might not be as talented as the next artist, like I knew I was a lot more funny. I knew I was a little more creative. So I put that in some of my drawings. So like the Saturday morning cartoons, the color lineups. Those were some of my earlier pieces. And then I seen that people would like it. I was getting a response on Instagram. I was able to sell those prints. So I realized, all right, this is my niche. This is where I should put my energy in. It's like creating some of these characters that are well known, but putting a fun twist on it. It's almost like doing cover art. So when a artist, a lot of musical artists, people may not know their records yet, but they know Smells Like a Teen Spirit. They know Lit, My Own Worst Enemy, so they'll do their version of that record and then sprinkle in original. And then after they get the fan base, then they start showing people the original music. So since I wasn't the strongest artist when I put myself out there, I used what I was good at, my creativity, and created a niche in order to build like some type of rapport and notoriety to what I was doing.
I want
Amazing,
to
amazing. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I want to ask you a question about that because you talked about creating your own niche. And
Yes.
last week, Agbatum also talked about, kind of the reasons why he's doing something in his own space. I learned a word from you, fan art.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can you talk a little,
Great
and
question.
like once I learned that from you, I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
what is this? And then I
Yes.
did a little bit of deep dive to, discover that as a lane. And when
Mm-hmm.
you talk about your story and how you came to fan art, it's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating because it sounds like it chose you more than you chose it, or it
Yes.
chose you maybe even as you were choosing it. Can you say
Yes.
something about that?
No, great questions, guys. Um, yeah, like my everything that I do, like I think is like brought onto me. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Like I enjoy it. Don't get it wrong, but I think it's almost like I'm following God's path for me. Even me being an illustrator. So with the whole fan art, of course, like I enjoyed all these characters, but I didn't know it was something that like other artists do. And so being at comic book cons, I'm seeing a majority of these artists like drawing characters that aren't theirs, that already exist, but the caveat is they're doing it with their own style. And then talking to other artists, I'm like, is this legal? Are you allowed to do it? And then they tell me like the nuances of it and like how it's like its own community or whatnot.
Mm.
Every once in a while, like I get acts like, "Oh, you don't create Spider-Man, you're gonna get sued." And I always tell them the same spill. First off, I'm not the only person doing this, right? Disney's gonna have to sue millions of people because if you go to a comic book convention, everybody's doing it, right? And that being said, it's like because it's such a niche thing, because it's such a community, like you're almost expected to do it. Artists that don't do it, like yeah, props to them. But yeah, it's something that I figure I had to do in order like to be part of this art, like work for Marvel, work for DC. That was my original goal. Not now, but back when I first started. And what people don't understand, a lot of these newer artists, they start out doing fan art. That's like how they get recognized. It's almost like a resume. And like let's say you have a record deal, you have a mixtape, and you already have an audience with your mixtape. So a record label is gonna sign somebody that has an audience versus signing someone from scratch. So if I have an audience doing with my fan art, doing Spider-Man and everything, people are like, okay, yeah, like He's gonna bring in more people to us, a younger generation, and he already knows how to draw the character. That's not my goal by any means, but I'm just using that for example, and I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, if I could, I want to follow up though, because
Yeah,
you described about the way I want to ask it is, can you talk about growing out of your goal? You talk about
growing
when
out
you
of my goal.
started, like, yeah, like when
Okay,
you started, your goal might have been to like
okay,
get signed by Marvel, right?
okay,
But that's
okay,
not your
okay.
goal anymore. But
Yes.
you've grown to your own space, your own lane. So like
Hmm.
now you got a different goal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I don't. So when I first started, I don't know if I had like set goal, something that I read out like, hey, I want to work for Marvel and do this and that. I just think the goal was to be, uh, and be a illustrator and be able to monetize and make money and take care of myself. That was the goal. I wanted to be able to make money doing art, pay my bills. I didn't want to eat ramen noodle every day. So that was the goal. With that, um, I had a motto. So if anyone has a goal, whatever it is, if you want to be an artist, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, look at your predecessors. Look who has done it before you. So I followed this artist. His name is Jay Foggett. He went to college with me, Central Michigan University, Fire Up Chips. And he had the career that I wanted.
Hmm.
So what I did was model him. Like I seen what he did. He did fan art. He did Comic Cons. He had a website. Like I legit modeled everything he did within my own career. Like I went on his page and started adding all his friends, and then started adding all their friends, and just seeing what they did to monetize. And one thing that I seen was they did comic book conventions, right? And people think it's some big major thing to do. It's just like as simple as going on a website, filling out the application, and boom, you're gonna get accepted. So that's what I did. I got accepted. And as I got accepted, I knew I wanted to monetize art. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I just didn't know how, what kind, how to get revenue. So every time I did a comic book con, every time I go on these artist pages, like I'm seeing how they're doing it and implementing that within my own career. And that's when I noticed, like, oh man, I got some motion doing fan art. I got some motion doing kids books. Cause in the midst of all this, like, hey, do you do kids books? So sometimes people reach out to you when you see your artwork, see the familiarity with you, see that you're doing something, because if you have motion, you're gonna give their book motion because hey, I got an artist that does comic book conventions. So it's just all about modeling and seeing what works and adjusting it and adapting to every year.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So I want to make a few comments, right,
Sure.
that really struck me from what you said. So, you talked about how basically purpose found you on the way, right? And I
Yes.
think that this isn't the first time that we are finding this out, and I'm sure Senengu will agree with me. We've come to realize over the couple of weeks that we've been doing this that for every single person, somehow they did not really set out with like, oh, I'm going to do this and this is how it's going to turn out, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow on their way purpose found them. And I think that that's again resonating, that on your journey of Audacity, you may not even have it all figured out at the beginning, but the fact that
Attention and looking who's done it and then just adapting that to like what you're already doing. So like just modeling him, I was able to get what I could from him, and then the other artists, I got more from them. And then once I started getting information, then I just threw myself out there. Sometimes you gotta put yourself out there so you can see what direction you really need to go. Because if you do all this planning and don't go on the path, by the time you finally go on it, you'll be going the wrong direction. But if you go on your path, ready or not, you'll know what type of tools to pick up, you'll know what supplies you need, and then it'll help you continue your path. But you have to go on it, and then you'll figure out the way eventually, through the people you meet, through your journey and whatnot. So like you said, like starting is the hardest thing that I think people neglect to do, but just sometimes, have a vision, start, and it could change, it could get adapted, it could get, but success does leave clues. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. So again, Seneng, I think we are coming back to the issue of learning. Would you agree with me? Last
100%.
week we talked about this and we said that part of learning is being being ready to unlearn. And we talked about the fact that being audacious also means, being ready to learn. I think we're circling back to a lot of things. And for me, that really is interesting to see, because it means that even though we're all on separate journeys, Abutun being a musician, Erihii being an illustrator, you being an organizational scientist, and I being a multi-potentialite, Peace being a politician, even though we're all audacious in different spheres, I think that the principles actually are the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we keep
Oh, yeah.
circling back to, yeah, we keep circling back to the same ideologies and the same principles. And for me, that is so profound. I'm still reminiscing, so Senenge, over to you. I will talk after you.
Well, no, there is this common thread of growth and
Yes.
kind of the pursuit of growth. I think has been a constant thread for all of our storytellers. As we've been on this journey here. He as you describe some things, and because I followed you for a little bit, and I pay attention to some of the things that you do,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that you don't do. I'm curious about that. You
Mm-hmm.
are very intentional about, I'm going to shout you out a little bit. He has a stand at the Nashville Farmers Market. And for people who don't know, the Nashville Farmers are like, it's kind of a big deal. And his stand, it's a legit setup. And people travel there to see him. And I love that. I've been there myself and I've seen it. It's fantastic to witness. It's fantastic to be in that space. Well, that's a very intentional choice on your part, a very intentional decision for you to be there and to not move from there and go somewhere else. And you've done that and you've built that presence over time. I think that's very fascinating. You talked about the things that you've done too. You're also very much at your local Comic Cons. So, like,
Yes.
I keep seeing you at the Nashville Comic Cons, and I'm like, cool. How do I get this guy to come to Minneapolis? But then I'm looking at it and I'm like, but he doesn't go. It's like you're like Eminem that way. Eminem notoriously doesn't tour. Like he stays close to home. And so I like what you're doing and I admire it. Last week I went to and said something about being a local champion. And I don't know if you identify yourself that way, but in some of what you do, like you make your moves very intentionally. I'm curious about the things you say yes to and the things you don't do. What
Mm-hmm.
influences kind of how you move as you stay true to who you are and close
Mm-hmm.
to it and not get too gassed up or not get too far removed from kind of your intention and your purpose.
Mm-hmm. No, all great questions. So let me make sure that I answer it in order. So the farmers market. So you asked like how that came about. And again, it's like being on a specific path and then this tool found me. So while I'm doing the comic book conventions and while I'm doing art shows, local art shows, I met an artist, Ben Griffin. Shout out to Ben Griffin, who's actually at the farmers market as well. So he's another guy that mentored me and gave me like feedback and things to do better. When I first was displaying my art, I just had a portfolio. Guests will flip it, and then if they like the artwork, they'll point it at it. I'll pull it out of a box and give it to them. That wasted a lot of time because I'm looking for the artwork and then it's holding up the line. So
Mm,
he told me like have the art already out there and then have them pick it out themselves. It gives them the store vibe and it feels like they're at an actual comics book shop, and it saves time because they get what they want, they get out the way, then the next customer go. Time management, and so he told me he was at the farmers market. He told me the benefits of it. He told me how like a lot of tourists is there, and he's the one that threw that opportunity out there. And I tried it and it ended up being successful. So it's something that I implemented because it was getting the results that I wanted. I don't think I set up and like, hey, I'm gonna do the farmers market. It was like me following all these artists, me doing these shows. I meet other artists and they throw out ideas. So sometimes, like, they revert to what I was saying. Once you put yourself out there, the universe conspires to make it happen. So they're putting people in my lives that are kind of getting me closer to what I want to
mm,
do, which is be established artists to be able to monetize and not eat noodles every day, even though noodles is my favorite food. And I do want to go to Minnesota. I would love it. It's if it's when it's not cold. It snows all the time. So like that one week when it's like good weather, I like to go. But yeah, like you sometimes have to establish where you are before you like work further out.
mm,
People think like they need to leave and then all of a sudden opportunities will come, but there's opportunities all around you, and you just got to be prepared for it. So, I'm always just building that mental muscle where I'm at. That way, if I go to New York, if I go to LA, like all these reps that I've done will have me prepared. And when I first got out here, I wasn't ready for New York. I wasn't ready for San Diego. Probably, I wasn't even ready for Minnesota. So I had to do good where I'm at, low bar. Like I'm confident enough to go anywhere. So I think it's just like once I'm able to find out how to clone myself, I'll be able to do all that, be in Minnesota, be in
All
New
the
York or
places.
whatnot. But it is coming. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I do get a lot of love in Nashville. Like I'm not gonna like move anytime soon because the community, the network that I built out here is beautiful. And one thing I will tell people, move out where you're from, especially if you don't have a purpose. Sometimes like trying something new that's different than when you are, you'll meet people who are open to help you out, if that makes sense. I think because like I'm not from Nashville, they're like, oh, who's this northern guy? He speaks a little different. He must really have stakes in it if he moved all the way out here. And yeah, they opened the door since day one.
Actually, let me follow up on that real quick
Yeah,
because
yeah.
also you could have moved a lot of places, and you moved
Mm.
to Nashville,
Okay.
right? And for people who aren't familiar, like Nashville is a spot, but
Yeah.
also it might not be a spot if you're not checking for it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is now, but when I moved there, it wasn't. Back in
Hmm.
2014, it was getting there. It was on a trajectory, but I don't think it was on the top 5, top 10 of anyone's list. Which I think it is now. That being said, shout out to Tango Boswa. Um, he moved out here first, and he got my little brother Armun. He moved out here, and I just knew I wanted to leave Grand Rapids, Michigan. It would have been anywhere. I was trying to get to Minnesota. I was trying to get to Florida, and then things happen where it didn't work out. Like again, I'm a believer, and if things aren't happening, it's not happening for a reason.
Mm.
And it's not happening. So I got to think: is there more that I have to do here in Grand Rapids? So, my brother was like, "Man, Nashville's growing. You know, you could crash with me for a little bit, and yeah, you got opportunity." So I was like, all right, forget it. So I got a U-Haul, got my bed and stuff, and headed to Nashville. And it just worked out. I was eating ramen for that first week, but once I was able to build a network and start figuring it out, yeah. So again, it was one of those things that was brought to me, and I took advantage of it. Again, I have a clear purpose. I knew where I wanted to go, but as soon as I figured that out, the universe started throwing things and throwing signs. Like clues is all around you. Whether it's your surroundings, whether it's in a book, you just got to be like detective. You got to be laser focused on what it is, and then just pay attention to your surroundings.
Wow. So for me, you've said a lot of profound things, and I need to share my thoughts, right? So there's another quote. I'm a quotes girl, by the way,
Yeah, yeah.
and that that quote I will never forget. It says, "Move, you are not a tree." And every time I feel like I am stuck, or I feel like, oh my God, I just tell myself, Christine, move, you are not a tree. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is exactly what you're proving, right? That sometimes we need to literally move ourselves, like literally move yourself, right? And
Yes.
I wrote down here that sometimes you have to take a chance on yourself. So when you mention
Mm-hmm.
how like you just grabbed your clothes, grabbed your U-Haul and just moved, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is audacity at work,
Mm-hmm.
because audaciousness takes a form of boldness. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just have to say, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on this dream. I'm going to take a chance on this, this thing that I'm feeling, this idea in my head, and I'm going to at least try it. For me, I'm a high risk taker, right? I'm a high risk taker.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably started nothing less than 15 businesses in the course of my lifetime, right? Many of them have failed. But anytime I teach small business owners, I always tell them that you really don't want to wonder what could have happened. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to get to a point where you could have said, I could have tried and at least seen what it felt like. So for me, I'm just like, there's no harm in trying, right? In Nigerian parlance, bad as e bad, e no go work. Like that's the worst that could happen. Like the worst thing that could happen is that it won't work out, but at least you will know that you tried,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for me, that is a very, very strong form of audacity. Now I have a question for you. And my question is this, right? So at the beginning, I'm going to connect it to something you said earlier. You talked about how, the expectations of our parents were that you grow up to be a lawyer. Shout out to my colleagues because I'm a lawyer. You grow up to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. You get a job, you get
Mm-hmm.
married, and all of that. Now, my question for you is this: do you think that growing up in a country like the US, right, had an impact on, will I say, this audacious choice to be an illustrator? So I will say something. I literally had to go to my WhatsApp and ask someone to join this live. I won't call his name, but he is an aspiring illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
and I know what he can do. But right now,
Mm-hmm.
he's not exactly doing it because, yeah, Nigeria is not a place where you just wake up and say, you know what, I want to be an illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work like that around here, right? You're going to
Mm-hmm.
need to do some other things to pay your bills before you can actually
Mm-hmm.
work on that. Do you think that if you were in Nigeria, you would still have been audacious enough to choose this path? That's my question.
No, I don't think so. And I think uh let me make sure I say my words correctly so I'm not offending anybody. But
Go ahead.
I think because like the privilege of being American, hence why like my parents, our parents moved out here. They knew like the opportunity was like a lot more vast than living out in Nigeria. Sure, there's opportunities, but it's just different. So like I think my life would have been a lot different. I think because I was a lot of American kids and I was exposed to a lot more art than I would have been in Nigeria. It instilled this dream that I have within me. So I just think it's just like where you grew up. Because somebody that lives in Nigeria or Ghana or Thailand or whatnot, they have different there's more important things, like they're trying to survive in different ways. And being here, a lot of things are provided for us. I know I always have electricity, I always have water. I just have, and that's the essentials that allow me to dream a bit bigger. And then that's not no shot with Nigeria by any means. It's just like, we were blessed. Our parents were blessed to
It's
get us out here. That being said, like I don't
yeah.
think it's over. Like, like they're now with the internet, with Instagram, now the world is vast. They're not just stuck in um Lagos, stuck in Abuja. They have a plethora of resources and people are able to reach them and there's ways to get paid for it. So I just thinking it's just modeling who's doing it. Like look at, because I know there's successful Nigerian artists that are there right now. I follow them. So kind of like modeling them and seeing what they're doing at this very moment. Send them a DM and see what they do to get started. And sometimes getting started is what do. Like there's no right magical answer. It's just doing it. And for the record, I'm saying all this stuff like I'm a free spirit. I'm not a free spirit at all. And that's one thing that one of our cousins say about me, that I'm an artist A. Even though like I'm creative, there's still certain disciplines that I have where waking up early, showing up on time, making sure that I submit projects in a diligent time, because I do have clients and I have to be able to come through for them. I got to be able to hit all the deadlines or whatnot. I have to, and then that gives me opportunity again, because like, all right, he's reliable, so they rely on me to show up, not just with my projects, but like me being at the market at a certain time, even when I don't feel like it. I have to show up. So discipline, the same type of discipline to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, you still have to have as an artist. It's not just drawing good pictures and people coming to you. You still got to have organization skills and still have a path. Like, I was blessed that some things came in my path and it worked out. I still had to focus. Like, I still had to prepare. And there's been many times where I prepared and nothing happens. Like, you could do your best. You could be the most supportive person and still take that L, right? But then sometimes, like, you know, for less effort, you'll get great wins. So you just always gotta be prepared, like whatever happens. You can't create a future if you don't take risks. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Wow. Wow. Now that is something. You can't create a future if you don't take risks. Before I hand it back to Seneng, I just want to say something, right? That you said something profound about the fact that being audacious, still requires a level of discipline. I think
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes these are the extremes of audacity, right? The fact that people think that audaciousness means that because you are bold, you can
Mm-hmm.
just do anything
Yep.
anyhow. After all, I have the talent, I have the skill, and all of that. I'm the unique one here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually a level of discipline that is
Mm-hmm.
actually required in
Absolutely.
keeping the audacity going, because it could be the first move that you take. Okay, I'm going to move out of my comfort zone, but then it's actually the discipline that keeps you going, right? I listen to podcasts a lot, and someone like Eric Thomas will tell you that passion will only start the journey, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's discipline that keeps you going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not enough to just say I'm an audacious person and I'm going to do this. Do you have the discipline to
Mm-hmm.
actually keep going with what you have actually started? Because,
Mm-hmm.
pardon my language, people will see through your bullshits at a point if you are not disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, people will
Yep.
see through it. They will
Absolutely.
see through it. Because, permit me to share this, this example, right? I was at an event. I spoke at an event over the weekend, and I was a panelist, and we're talking about there was a women's conference, and we're talking about the importance of building businesses that last. Now, I was there because I have been building businesses since I was 10 years old. And so I was the youngest panelist there. And I was talking about my experience, with building to last. And one of the things we talked about is the fact that people talk about how there either no opportunities or opportunities are not coming to them. But the thing really is, if those opportunities come to you, are you ready for them? So you are advertising a product, right? And then you're selling maybe 5, 10, and then you somehow blow in Nigerian parlance, and then you get 1,000 orders. The question is, do you have the infrastructure? Do you have the
Mm-hmm.
structure? Do you have the discipline to actually
Mm-hmm.
handle that amount of inflow of orders? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where discipline now comes in. So you're audacious enough to start a business, great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the required set of discipline to actually take advantage of the opportunities that will come? And
Mm-hmm.
I would say that to anyone listening, audacity is not enough. You have to have the right level of discipline. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over
Yeah.
to you, Senege.
No, 100%. And
$100%.
Eric, I'm really glad you talked about the discipline part.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, if I may, a little bit, like part of my experience, like I'm a fan. I'm a fan of my family, and I love to big up my family as you guys, make your moves and you do the things that you do. And I've been following each of you, for the longest time. But like, Erihii, you talk about discipline, and one of the things that for me, watching you a long time ago, that really resonated. We both enjoy, how do you call it? We both enjoy the pain of a good sweat. We both,
I
as
was
we
gonna bring
age,
that up.
we're
It's
both
funny.
guys who enjoy, to spend some time in the gym. And I
Yeah.
see that in him, and I'm like, man, I know what it takes to get that, right? I know that it's not an accident. But then I see you also apply that level of discipline in your work. You are now, we can celebrate you as a celebrated artist. And I wear your work, display your work. But it's important for me as I tell your story. I always tell people about, yeah, but he didn't just pop out doing art. Like, he moved to Nashville and he was a teacher in a school for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
building the reps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Building
Mm-hmm.
up that
Mm-hmm.
portfolio. And he's done. I pull out the book. I've got two of your children's books. So and then he's done these books and he does these things. And then I love too that I can expose, I bring Freddie. I bring, somebody, he's like, yeah, oh yeah, I've been to his stand. And like, there's other people who are talking about your work.
Yeah, that was a fun
I
night.
love that. It's the discipline. It's the discipline of doing all those things, the things
Yes.
that go unseen, that get you to the place where people are seeing, right? The result. People see the result and they don't see all the unseens that go into it. So all that discipline, all those reps, all those things that you did, all those things that you do, the work that you do for yourself, right? That the comic strips that you do about an event that happened in a class or a date that you went on or what else it is that you put it out there. Like, I love that work. What's that? But that's all great. And it's great to like, it takes, again, a certain amount of discipline to like have the experience, have the thought, produce something, and then share it. There's something significant in that. There's another piece of your story that I really want to share that I think it's important that we at this stage share, because we're either parents, becoming parents, or we're influencing. We have peers who are parents. You have said, we've had a number of conversations over the years where you've dropped nuggets that have stayed with me. But we'd had a conversation one time, and you said to me, we're talking about our parents, and you said to me, your dad's got your back no matter what.
Oh, absolutely.
You said those words to me, and that has stuck. You said, my dad's got my back no matter what. And that told me so much about you, about like how like you can't fail. And that's powerful.
You know what?
That's powerful.
You know what? I want to go back to a question you asked.
Yeah.
If I was in Nigeria, would I be that? So shout out to my pops, you know what I'm saying? Because like my dad legit thought I could do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not brilliant like you. Like I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not no high IQ. Like my brother, he was a genius. Like I'm definitely a C student. Like absolutely. But my dad thought I had the capability to be a 4.0 student. He believed in his heart, right? So he told me like I could be anything that I wanted to be. And I legit believe that. And because he told me that, like I wasn't settling for anything that I didn't want to be. So because he told me that, like, I wanted a ball. Like I wish, like if I tell my younger self, I would have said, bro, you too little to be trying to ball. But I thought I could do it, right? And then I try to do things that I probably can't. You could do most things. You just can't be a basketball player unless you're like over 6 feet, But that being said, because he said I could do anything, I believed I could do everything. So yeah, maybe that's why I'm able to do things that, maybe people back at home that, couldn't do, because he said I can, and he just be excited by like every little thing that I do. Like he thought when I got published, he thought like I was some famous author. When I was like, no, I just got published. He probably thinks I'm famous. I'm not, pops. So I legit know he's proud of me. But that also keeps me working, because like, man, there's still plateaus I need to hit. Like I mean for myself, but I want to make him a little more prouder. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, that's the edge that I probably have that maybe the other first generation, we won't just say Nigerians, but we'll say like Indians, Jamaicans, Haitians, a lot of them come into this country, and it's not art, and it's other stuff, but yeah, great.
No, there's a lot in there about, the thing about parents being there and that encouragement and that just that instilling that in you. I think that's, and then not just that, but then you hearing it and taking it, right? Like I think both sides, that there's a lot in that, and that's significant. And I do think that for those of us in spaces like this, it's an opportunity that we have to, one, remind ourselves and our peers, give a shout out to our parents, right? But then also like not forget that part, because as we then step into that role as parents, like I do it as much as I can to remind my girls, hey, you can do anything. I've had the conversation with people when I was done. I was like, well, you guys don't want a son? I'm like, I got girls. What do I need a son for? They can do anything. And I've been telling them that their whole lives. And I don't treat them any different than if, and I believe that, because if I don't do it, where are they going to get it from? Right. And so, yeah, I think that there's a lot to that. And then to also like building and nurturing our communities. And Erihii, you talked about your journey, so much of it has been nurtured by community. Either your efforts to go out and find community or build community, and then put in, and then have it put into you. Like, can you say something about that? Is it easy? Is it difficult? How does it feel? How do you do it and not feel like you're biting?
No, I'm glad that you brought that question, because I want to bring up something Christine said about being prepared, like the reps, right? You're not going to be able to speak in front of 1 million people unless you could speak in front of like 2. So it's like kind of doing
Preach.
the reps, and that's kind of like how the community is, because you never know who's gonna grow, right? Because a lot of people start at the same time. Maybe someone starts ahead of you, but if they see what you're doing and seeing you're genuine in it, when they get the opportunity, they're gonna give you the opportunity, and vice versa. So the community's like, I came in the beginning of a lot of people's journeys. They came in the beginning of mine, and then now they're in decision making uh positions where they're like, hey, Erihii will be able to do that. But not only just because they're my peer, they see my work, they see my discipline, and know that I'll come through and make them look good, right? So it helps me, but it helps them look good as well. So you always got to be prepared. I love what you said. Like, you got to be able to talk to one person way before you could talk to 100, before you talk to a million. And because when the opportunity happens, you're not going to all of a sudden lock in. You got to be locked in, since day one, even if nobody's there, right? We made sure we
Yeah.
started on time. Like, before, y'all didn't see that part, but we was making sure the mic's ready. Like,
Yeah.
I care about the process, about it's all fun and games. But Kobe Bryant, like, he's one of my favorite players because that dude did the stuff outside the court and he talked about it. I don't just, want to see the win. I want to see the process. I want to see the fails. I love hearing that you started 15 business and it didn't work. Like, so what? You tried. People be gonna make fun of you for trying. Like, I know how to fail
That's true.
better next time. So
Yeah. Wow. So I think that we're back again to the conversation on failure, right? We've had this conversation, I think, every week, right? Because we talk
I think
about
it's important.
failure.
Yeah.
Yes, we always circle back to failure in our
hmm
conversations, and you've just brought it up again. And I think the perspective with which you've spoken about it really resonates with me. The fact that, so what if you failed, right? You just know how to do it better next time,
hmm
right? So you hear people say, fail forward, right? Fail
hmm
forward, fail forward, fail forward. And that is a lesson we can take. I was just going to comment briefly on the role of parents in fueling our audacity. I think that for the three of us, in some way, our parents have fueled our audacity. For me, yes, I know I'm the one who's in Nigeria. I'm still battling with our situation here. But I can tell you that a lot of my audaciousness came
It's coming.
because my mother fueled it,
Justine,
or because my
I think we'll
parents
need you
fueled
to repeat.
it, right?
Uh, so
Yeah,
yeah, it
Period.
gets tricky when we're dealing
they
with
thought
Nigeria.
that
Justine,
now
Justine.
network went off back on. That can you hear me now? Can you
Yes.
hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Because I know my network is acting up.
No, we're good now. Come again.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Okay. Okay, all right. So I was just saying that, um, in spite of the challenges in a country like Nigeria, when you have solid people in your network, whether
hmm
parents, whether friends, whether just community, that feel the audacity, it really goes a long way, I can promise you. When
hmm
you have people who see beyond the circumstance and say, in spite of the challenges, I know you can do this, right? I
hmm
think it really goes a long way. It's as little as, and this happened the first episode, showing up without electricity. It's as little as when we had the episode with Peace, and she joined like nothing less than 20 times in 1 hour, despite the network challenge, right? But you see, we kept fueling that audacity and encouraging her, and we still showed up the next week. I think that having the right people in your network is very key, because at a point you may doubt yourself. You may get tired, you may get discouraged, you may get exhausted, but if you have the right people who are in your corner, they will definitely encourage you to keep going. And I think that that is very key. They will also see opportunities where you don't, and they'll be that push to say, you know what, I think you have it in you, and
Yep.
I see it in you, and keep going. So that really stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree with all everything that you said. And I think like a lot of the opportunities that I had was because of my network and people seeing that I'm able to do this. Like I never thought that I'll be able to speak in front of like college students or like teach what I'm doing or think I had value. But someone say, "Hey, you want to speak in front of my students? You know, I like what you do and I think you'll be able to inspire some of the kids." And then I did it and I enjoyed it, you know, and I had like a teaching background. So, you know, I started doing it more. And then that's how I came up with these workshops. I wasn't like, hey, I want to like continue and teach workshops, but it just happened because I was given the opportunity and then it just keep on growing. So like people believing in you even though you don't believe in yourself and combination of everything that we talked about, taking risks, building reps, building that community and you know.
Can you say something about things that you say no to?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, if my plate is full,
Mm,
like, I used to have a fear of like missing the opportunity or burning the bridges by saying no. So I used to take every single like job and then I was missing deadlines or I wasn't, it wasn't looking as good as I wanted to look or, or a better opportunity to come that pays more. So I just I want to make sure I still have time to work out. I still have time to like enjoy some of my anime. So like I'll say no if I don't think it. I don't know. I'll say no like if the money isn't good or if I don't think it is doing something positive or
mm,
if it's not going to grow because some of the projects you take are investments in itself. So it's like, is this guy passionate about it? So if I see they got passion, I can knock down a price or I could take it. Or if they just like not give me enough details or if they want if they want me to work harder than them or if they're too vague with the details. So yes, like I'm learning to say no and the
mm,
value of no. But early on, I didn't say no as much as I should have. Um, but now that I want to have a certain type of quality of work, I have to say no, and stay in a business, and people respect that, and it will come back to you. They're not gonna like not come back to you. They'll be patient if you establish that.
Exactly. They will be patient, I
Mm-hmm.
think, especially because they know they're getting value from you. I think
Mm-hmm.
that when people know the value you give, they will wait.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I used to struggle with saying no, so I can totally relate. But now you know what I say no. It's just a
Yeah.
two-letter word rather than it's a full sentence. So yes, I'm getting
Yeah.
used to saying no, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
people would respect that. If you
Fact.
don't, people will not respect a boundary you've not
Nah,
set.
they
That's what
respect
I've
those
learned.
boundaries. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you've not set the boundary, don't expect people to respect it. But once
Mm-hmm.
you start setting it, people will respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing. So
I
then
think I
again, do
have
you
to
have any
say.
questions? Yeah.
Erihii was about to say something.
Oh, I think I have to say no for a workshop like recently, like so I'm drafting up the email like, oh man, how I'm gonna respectfully decline the offer.
You have
So
to do it sometimes.
hmm I do not feel bad for women. Yeah, I have to do the rejecting because it's hard rejecting people. Like I see why you guys get fake numbers and ghosts. Like, geez.
Yeah. Yes, you have no comment. That's okay. We'll leave it alone. No. So, Erihii, I'm curious about. Okay, so now you've been in a lot of spaces and you're bridging a lot of spaces, and I
hmm
know that there are spaces that you're looking to bridge into.
hmm
In the past year or two, you started. I won't put it all, too much out there, but like you have your own strips that you're building, your own
hmm
comic, books
hmm
that you're in your own brand that you're building up. But there are
hmm
different audiences that I know that you're interested in reaching,
hmm
and breaking into.
hmm
Um, I don't know exactly how I want to ask this. I mean, I know that it's about challenges, it's about access, it's
hmm
about connecting.
hmm
But like maybe that's just what I want to ask. Is like for you right now, as you're looking to different spaces that you're looking to get
hmm
into, like what is it about you that
hmm
you want to either take into those spaces or
hmm
contribute to those spaces or connect
hmm
with in those
hmm
spaces?
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I answer like connecting, and then you're probably asking like what's next in essence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um. So I think one thing. too, whatever business you are, if it's entertainment, if you're providing a service or a product, it has to be in a form of giving. You got to give to your community. You got to add value, not necessarily financial, but you got to give something positive. And like, even though I enjoy drawing, like I do it for other people. I do it to give them entertainment. I do it to make them laugh, make them cry. And that's why I enjoy being a teacher. That's why I enjoy doing these workshops and working with inner city youth. I was one of them, and I want to tell them like you could be a ball player. You don't have to be a ball player. You don't have to be a singer, even though those are cool. There's other careers that you can have. There's a plethora of careers that you can have, and I want to give them access and do something that they may not normally do. And as I do that in Nashville, I love to do it in other communities, especially like where my parents from, where where we're from, Nigeria. So like, I would love to do a workshop similar to what I've been doing here in Nashville and Nigeria, as far as like having iPads and kind of teaching them the youth how to create art, how to monetize. That's one of the big goals, one of the big dreams that I have, to be out there. And I want to be kids that will actually use them. I don't want them to get some iPads and sell them or not. I want them to be using them.
Yep.
I want them to try to create a career. I want to be the change. Nigeria, Ghana, Thailand. That's grandiose. I keep it simple, but that's where I want to do it eventually. Once I'm doing it here in Nashville, but I just want to expand that and just continue to create my comic because I do it to make people laugh. Like I grew up on Calvin and Hobbes, and I remember the joy getting that Sunday paper and laughing at Calvin and Hobbes, and I love getting comments and DMs, man. Your comic made my day, man. Like, and I want to just continue to just pour into people with my art or like with my service.
Thank you. You said
Love it.
something so profound, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that really what we do is service. And I think
Yes.
that looking at it from the wealth building perspective, I strongly believe that any rich and wealthy person is first of all a selfless person
Yes.
because you have to
Absolutely.
think about how is what I am doing, how is this product or service going to
Mm-hmm.
make the life of others better? And
Mm-hmm.
once you create that value chain, people will
Mm-hmm.
gladly even pay for that value. So it
Mm-hmm.
starts from selflessness.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, just to say that there are young people in Nigeria who are looking for mentors like you. I know a couple of them, right? And
Mm.
if you ever think you want to explore doing something in Nigeria, I am a community builder and I will find these people for you. So please,
Absolutely.
um, reach out when you're ready. I might,
Oh yeah.
remind you about this in the next couple of years if I don't see you
Yeah.
doing anything about
Oh,
it. So
absolutely.
please,
It's happening.
yeah,
It's on the vision board. So absolutely.
awesome, 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 awesome. All right. Say that
Well, as
again.
we're
Any
rounding
final
out,
word?
yeah, as we're rounding out
Yes,
the
please.
hour here, we've talked about a number of things, and we've traveled a lot of things. Erihii, you've talked about, as you've shared your journey, some of the things that you've shared that have really resonated, that I think are really nice morsels to leave with the audience, are the ideas of you don't have to be stuck. Christine said you're not a tree, you can move, and you described how you move from one area to another. I want to
Hmm.
relate that to folks in a different context. This isn't the idea. There isn't about moving from, let's say, Abuja to Lagos. It's or moving from Lagos to Enugu. You can go to Jos, you can go to Makudi, you can go to Lafayette, you can go to Boko, you can go to Obokolo. You can go to so many different spaces, but in those spaces, find your niche or create it, right? And then build
Yep.
it out from there. That's the
Exactly.
idea. And also,
Exactly.
some of these things, if he had gone from Grand Rapids to Lansing or to Detroit and for folks who don't know, I'm naming bigger cities, it could have been a different kind of struggle to establish himself and to build to the point that he's at right now. So
Hmm.
I think that, being intentional about your moves, the spaces that you're going to a space that not everybody's in. I think, if nothing else, if I might, area that can serve, right? That can really
Yeah.
be
Absolutely.
something
And
special.
then it doesn't necessarily matter because like sometimes you have to be prepared for LA, right? If you haven't like if I haven't dominating Grand Rapids. I don't like that word dominate. If I haven't been established in Grand Rapids, how am I all of a sudden going to be established in LA? I'm not prepared. I don't have
Yep.
the enough product. I don't have the connections. I don't even know how to talk LA talk. If I can't even talk Grand Rapids talk, how am I going to talk LA talk? So you gotta like make do where you're at currently, be the best that you can there before you ascend to the next place. And I think a lot of people think, man, I'm just gonna move to Atlanta and be able to like become this. Sure, that can happen, but what are you doing now? You're not gonna all of a sudden know how to shoot a jump shot if you're not working on it back at home. So you gotta do the reps, and then once you there. Like I had to get out. Like I had to leave Grand Rapids. I don't think people were going in the same trajectory I want. I don't think people seen the vision, and I think I did the best that I can. Shout out to Grand Rapids, but I needed somewhere different where people didn't see the old me. They see me as a fresh new person. That way they could believe in this fresh new dream, and they're not focused on my failures or where I'm currently at, but where I'm going. But I love what you said. Like, it could be a smaller market. Like again, there's more opportunities in New York or LA or Atlanta, but there's more competition as well.
Exactly.
And are you ready for that? Like, maybe, but my Grand Rapids self wasn't ready for LA. I am now. I don't want to go there. I just, I'm ready, humbly.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I also want to make sure people don't lose. Your humility. You are humble in all that you do, and I love that about you. That's the last thing I want to say. I love you, bro. I love what you do.
You too,
Keep
cuz.
doing it. Stay up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Erihii, for being here with us. I'm truly inspired by your story, your journey. I personally have learned a lot from your audaciousness, and to anyone who's watching, from my side of the world and wondering, what I'm just going to tell you is you're not a tree, so move. Your dreams
Move.
are valid, and you don't have to fit the norm, right? Last week we talked about the purple cow theory, right? You don't have to fit the norm. If you want to be an illustrator, go right ahead and be one, right? Don't let anyone stop you, because the world is, they say it's your oyster, Abby.
It
It's
is.
your
Yes.
oyster.
It is.
Exactly. And I think that Ari has proved to us again the local champion theory, that you can actually do great things from a seemingly small place, right?
Yeah,
While you
absolutely.
get ready for bigger
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. All right, guys. This brings us to the end of episode 6. Cuz, do you have anything to say before
Just
I
Erihii,
give?
tell the people where to find you online.
Yes,
Oh
so I can
yeah.
put it. Yeah.
You can follow my Instagram at super underscore saying super underscore saying
Super.
SAY. Let me start over. Sorry. Super.
Start again. I'm writing super
All right.
underscore.
Super underscore saying SAIYAN underscore E. Super saying E. I can draw store.com. You could find my
Okay, I can do
TikTok.
store.com. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
TikTok,
I can,
where?
and TikTok is
Uh-huh.
SAIYAN
Uh-huh.
underscore E underscore LUFFY.
Luffy.
Yes. Sane E
Okay.
Luffy.
Okay,
I'm a,
so
I'm a
just
huge
hold on.
nerd.
Yeah, I
Hey,
can
you're in
see
good
that.
company.
Okay, so I want to just take it over because I'm gonna put it in the chat and on the screen. So on Instagram we can find you at super underscore SAIYAN underscore E. Am I
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes. And I'm going to put it in
And
the chat as
then
well.
your website is icandrawstore.com, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And then on TikTok, we can find you at SAIYAN underscore E underscore LUFFY, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just put it on the screen. You can
And
connect.
one more.
Yes.
And one more.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna add this to an YouTube Farmers Market Nerd.
Yes.
YouTube.
Check out the YouTube clips. Check out the farmers markets clips. He's doing I love the features that you're doing at the farmers market when you're doing the one-on-ones with people talking about the anime, and
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
that's great. That's great. Hey,
Okay, so
get your
give me a
prints,
moment.
get your
Can you see
shirts.
what's on the screen? Is this correct? Please check everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no apostrophe in the S for the farmers market nerd. But
Okay. Don't
yeah.
worry, I could make a correction. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's it. Perfect.
All right.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank
Mhm.
you, people, for tuning in.
Yeah, go ahead, cuz.
Well, that's it. That's our hour. That's our time. So again, we just wanted to thank the
Okay.
people. We'll check you out
Yeah, don't
online.
forget to subscribe. Yes, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're live every Thursday at 8 p.m. West African time and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make
Mhm.
it a date with us. Share with us your Audacity story. We would absolutely love to hear from you. And don't forget to connect with our guest, Erihii. Follow him on all his social media platforms. You can make a post, tell him how today's episode blessed you, and we will see you in episode 7 next week. Thank you so
Cheers,
much for
everyone.
joining.
Sisunichi.
Susunechi.